And a fresh controversy is brewing on tax collection. The Federal Inland Revenue Service says that all civil society organizations are expected to register for tax purposes and obtain taxpayer identification numbers. The Revenue Agency explains that CSOs are statutorily required to maintain accurate records of employees and proper books of accounts for tax purposes. It says failure to comply will attract appropriate penalties under the extant tax laws.
Well, and joining us now to discuss the legal implications of these issues is Victor Giwa. He's a legal practitioner and also the national coordinator of the civil society organization, advocate for people's right and justice. Good to have you join us, Victor.
Thanks for joining us.
Now, the basic question, of course, will be, should CAOs register for tax? They're parts of the tax regulation that concern them, and what challenges do they face in being compliant to those parts that concern them?
Well, thank you very much. The first thing I would like to say is the fact that civil society organizations are companies we regard as incorporated trustees under the Company and Allied Matters Act under Section 2823 of the Newcomer Act. And they are organizations that are non-profit. So they are non-profit organizations, and so they are not set up for profit making. As a matter of fact, they are charitable organizations. They try to empower people. They give out what they have. And we say that they are for promotion, or for charity purpose, religion, cultural, all of that. So generally and statutorily, as an organization, they are not expected to pay tax. So I don't really understand what the chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue is actually saying. I think that he is not appreciating the fact that the civil society organization and their employees are two different bodies. Now, employees normally get salary and they pay as you earn. The normal tax that are paid by anybody who receives tax, they pay consumer tax because they are consumers. But for you to say a civil society organization should register for the purpose of tax, I think that is mixing the point.
Are you saying that this really just amounts to a much ado about nothing? If the employees of civil society organizations like yourself do pay their tax.
Yeah, just like any employee of any companies do.
So what you're saying is that the FIRS is not differentiating between the entity, the organization, and the employees.
Yeah.
But I believe you were part of that webinar where the FIRS tried to explain and help CSOs like yourself understand and have a knowledge of your tax responsibility. Help us understand what the argument on the side of the FIRS is or are, and how CSOs plan to respond.
Yeah, well, their argument is that they are looking at it from the point that there are a lot of CSO organizations that get a lot of funding. And they have big funding, they have budget, they sponsor projects, and they feel that for the purpose of looking at the volume of money that are involved in some of these projects, for the fact that Nigeria needs money, Nigeria is broke, federal government is having this revenue drive and all of that. So they are perceiving that because of the level of funding of their projects, the level of funds they get from international organizations, partners and all of that, then they are seeing, because if you look at the books, you will be looking at them as profit-making organization. But statutorily, and it will be wrong for anybody to assume. I mean, you don't assume law. Law is not speculation. If you are a civil society organization, the law is that you cannot make profit.
All right, Victor, let me comment there. Let's get to understand where FIRS is coming from. They're saying that if contracts or goods are designated for humanitarian purposes, no tax, no problem. But if otherwise, then VAT should be paid on such goods. You can't fault that.
Yeah, it goes without saying, because civil society are generally consumers in one way or the other. At a point, you buy goods, you pay normal VAT. VAT is for everybody if you are in any state. So, but the point they were trying to make is the fact that there are certain projects For example, if you say if a CSO says that you want to set up a building for a community, and you are going to bring in some of those equipment abroad, they are saying that, oh, some of those things you need to pay the various taxes that are, stamp duty tax and all of that. Ordinarily, under the Company Allied Matters Act, Section 15 of the Company Income Tax Act, certain organizations, just as this civil society organization, should be exempted because their actions are not for profit.
Yeah, but the FRS is saying the argument is any service procured or consumed by an NGO is liable to VAT except where exempted. That's what they're saying.
Yeah.
But we need to. Do you think the FRS is just looking for other means of
raising revenue?
Especially considering the situation and developments with VAT? And would that be wrong to do?
Of course, it is totally wrong. If you are there, because from the statement of the chairman, it seems, of course, law is not what you speculate. Law is not what you make up. Law is just what is in the law. So generally, there are certain taxes that are to be paid by NGOs, and by the same law.
What taxes NGOs? What taxes are NGOs like yourself paying?
Okay, we pay pay as you earn for our workers. That is not waived. Now, but when we are going to execute developmental project, like humanitarian project, for example, you are bringing rice, for example, you are importing something to help the IDPs, you don't expect to tax.
No, but they're not saying that. So they're not saying that they're going to tax you if it's humanitarian based. What I understand that FIRS is saying is, if it's not humanitarian based, then your organization should pay tax. When FIRS talk about profits for the year assessment, because we're talking about profits for the year assessment, total donation shall not exceed 10% of the total profits in the year of assessment. Well, you raised that issue. I was under the impression that CSS NGOs are non-profit organizations, like you talked about. But they are saying here that if it goes beyond 10%, I think in some other instance 15%, that you should not pay beyond that. I wanted clarity on that.
I think the chairman, with due respect, is not appreciating those facts. For the fact that you are a registered civil society organization, you are a not-for-profit organization. So forget about the objective. Are you getting the point? So they need to appreciate that in the first place.
I'm sure they do.
Yeah, I don't know, because you are seeing a peg if it is 15%, because the benchmark for profit in any contract is within 15, 20, and so from their interpretation, it seems in their thinking that there are some non-governmental organizations that are making profit.
Yeah, but is it not true? Because a lot of people are raising questions as to why setting up of NGOs have become so attractive. Why exactly, if it's not making any profit, or if it's not beneficial in any way to those who are setting up these NGOs? And then the FRS has also gone ahead to say that CSOs should maintain accurate records of employees, proper books of accounts for tax purposes. Are you doing that already?
Yes, we are doing. We do our annual returns. It is statutory. They don't need to state that to us, because the Company and Allied Matter Act states that NGOs should submit their annual returns, yearly, the first quarter in June and in December. But you see, I think it is because of the proliferation of some NGOs, especially within the happenings in the Northeast. A lot of NGOs are coming up. But you see, even if there is a profit, the rule is that whatever is made by the NGO should be used in the promotion of the objective of the organization. For example, our NGO is for advocate for people's rights and justice. So what we do, we look at where people's rights have been abused. If you cannot get lawyers, if you have cases in court and you are not strong enough to get a lawyer, we try to assist you with legal representation. Now, we are going to get lawyers for you. Are you telling us that you are going to charge the lawyers for the fee we pay them for their transportation, for their appearance fee and all of that.
But
because the
there are
whole
lawyers
objective...
who provide services pro bono. Are you not engaged?
Yeah, we when we such lawyers, when we give them...
We'll be leaving it there because I was even going to talk about your application to CITA to register.
Thank you.
Under the 5th schedule, but we don't have any time anymore.
All right.